Hello everyone, it's Taylor, and today I am here to talk about my favorite products from my favorite brands. Three brands that I have chosen as my favorite brands are Anastasia Beverly Hills, Too Faced, and ColourPop. Over the years, I have definitely varied in what I would consider my favorites, but right now, these are three brands that I'm just really loving. Most, if not all, of their releases I think are smart. I think they add something to the beauty community, and for one reason or another, they have made it to my holy grail brand status currently in my life. Most of these are products that I have in my collection currently. I believe there's only one exception, and I'll explain that one when I get to it. So let's just jump right in and let's start with Anastasia Beverly Hills. Anyone who knows anything about Anastasia and anyone who knows anything about me should not be surprised that the Modern Renaissance palette would be on this list. I have spoken about it many times on this channel, but I do love warm toned shadows, and this palette is warm, but it also has a good amount of cool, some neutral. I just feel like there's a lot you can do with this. If you wanted to stick very like natural for the day, you would stay here. You wanted to go a little bit more intense, you can go down in this area. I've done everything from, deep brown looks, pink looks. I've even done like a red smoky eye, which was one of my favorite looks I've ever created with this palette. So yeah, this is just a nice go-to palette. It's also a great travel item for me because I know that no matter what I'm gonna need to create on, say, a business trip or a personal trip, I can get those things out of this palette. Another one of my favorites from Anastasia is the Moonstone Highlight, and if you watched my recent powder and highlighter video, you would have seen this, but it's just a really pretty sort of champagne, very wearable everyday highlight. And this came from the Sun Dipped Glow Kit. I did not get along well with the entire glow kit as the majority of them were too dark for me, but this particular one in the shade Moonstone just really caught my eye, and I've been loving using it ever since. Anastasia Beverly Hills is also really known for their single eyeshadows. They're some of the highest quality single eyeshadows on the market. They are a little bit on the high end or expensive side if you take into account the fact that ColourPop shadows are $4 or $5, and Makeup Geek shadows are $5, and even MAC has dropped their individual pan pricing down pretty low as well. However, I do think that their pricing is worth it, and at most places you can buy Anastasia, you can do like the for 40 bundle, so you save $2 on each eyeshadow. The first individual eyeshadow I want to talk about is maybe a little bit shocking for anyone who knows my makeup taste, but it is this shade here in Dusty Rose. And Dusty Rose is just kind of like a really sort of neutrally cool with a little bit of pink in it. It's a great brown shade. If I'm feeling lazy, I will put it all over the lid and buff it out into the crease, and it just gives a really nice, like I said, neutral to cool look. I also like to use this in the crease when I do looks with ColourPop's Glass Bowl, that sort of reflective blue-brown shade. I think these pair very nicely together because they are more on the cool side. Another one of my standout favorites from Anastasia is the shade Henna, and this is very similar to the Makeup Geek foiled eyeshadows in the shade Flamethrower, but I've spoken about this before on my channel. That formula just does not work for me. It disappears off of my eyes no matter how I prime, no matter how I set the lid. So I find that the Anastasia formula just works so much better. It's not as like bam in your face pigmented right away, but you can certainly build it up and get some beautiful color payoff with that particular shade. Moving on to my next favorite brand, right now I would have to say that is Too Faced, and I would like to clarify because just because these are my current favorite brands doesn't mean that I think that they are completely without problems. Too Faced is probably the most problematic, if you will, of the brands on my favorites list, just because I feel like some of their releases do not make sense at all. I know they've been a little bit murky before with what is limited edition and what is going to be in their core collection, but I feel like a lot of brands do that nowadays as a sales tactic. I do think that the good majority of what comes from Too Faced is really good quality product, really worth the money. I would say avoid like anything that comes from their holiday collections, as that tends to not be as good. But in general, I've loved pretty much everything else I've tried from Too Faced. The first item is one that's, I think, very polarizing, and that is the Sweet Peach palette here. I absolutely adore this palette. Again, I like palettes that you can get a lot of variety from, and I think this is absolutely a palette like that. I love beautiful lid shades, and this one here, as you can maybe see, I have pan on that shade. That is Puree. I think Puree is a gorgeous lid shade. Luscious, Nectar, even doing a pink look with this Just Peachy shade is absolutely stunning. I think that Too Faced, sometimes their matte formulas are a little sketchy, but their like lid shimmer shades generally are so beautiful, very pigmented. They glide onto the lid, and I think that is sort of the saving grace of all of their eyeshadow palettes. Another product that I absolutely adore from Too Faced is the Born This Way foundation. If anyone's curious, I wear the shade Seashell, but at this point in my non-tanned life, Seashell is a little bit too dark for me. It's more of my late summer shade, so I would definitely like to get another bottle of this, maybe even when I run out of some of my lighter foundations, because for my no buy year, in my foundation rules, I kind of specified that I could have multiple foundations only if that, I got down to the one foundation and it was the wrong color for me, because I've spoken about this before, my skin tone shifts so much, or maybe not my skin tone, but the depth of my tan shifts so much throughout the year. From my palest to my darkest, I can't use the same foundation. So I'm generally always mixing two foundations anyway to achieve my desired color. All that being said, this is a fantastic sort of medium buildable coverage. My skin always looks great when I'm wearing it. I'm never feeling like I'm too cakey or I've applied the wrong amount of product. I feel like this foundation agrees with the majority of primers I've used with it. I haven't had any problems with sort of pilling or gathering of product in any particular area, which I do have that problem with some other foundations. So this is just like an A+ foundation from me. I think it's like $38 or $45, which is kind of a bummer. But I think foundation is somewhere that I'm willing to splurge a little bit more and maybe keep my budgetary items for different areas of my face, because if you have a good base, you can do anything else. Probably not going to be a shocking inclusion here, but my Too Faced Sweet Tea bronzer, this for the month of January was like my hands down probably my favorite product that I was using in my Shop My Stash basket. I've talked about this like at length, probably in several different videos on my channel, so I won't ramble too much, but it is one of the best bronzers to ever hit the market, in my opinion. Okay, so now we are getting to the third and final brand on this list, and that would be ColourPop. So ColourPop, I think, brings out amazing products for amazing prices, and not everything they bring out is 100% perfect, but the vast majority of everything I've tried from them is so good. The one thing I will say about ColourPop is I wish they would slow down on the eyeshadow palette releases. Obviously, people are still buying them, which is why they keep coming out with them. I think like every month they launch a new eyeshadow palette, which is just nuts to me. Nobody needs a new eyeshadow palette every month. But like I said, apparently it's working for them, so that's what they're continuing to do. I do love seeing their growth in places like Ulta. I think that it's a brand that definitely deserves more distribution because they make really affordable, accessible products at really good quality. So I'm a really big ColourPop fan, if that entire rant didn't just prove that. The one product that is hands down my favorite thing from ColourPop is the Brow Boss in the shade Taupe. And I don't have it here with me because I finished mine in January. Once I finish the current brow pencil that I have, I'm going right back to the Brow Boss. I don't think I will ever use another brow pencil in my life. I mean, who knows? Something may come out. My financial situation may change. I've always wanted to try the Hourglass brow products, but I'm not paying that much for brow products at this stage in my life. So the $5 Brow Boss in the shade Taupe is the perfect brow pencil for me. But it's perfect. And apparently it does have the same amount of product as the Anastasia Brow Wiz. So you're talking about whatever it is, $21 or $22 versus $5. I think that's a no-brainer if you're trying to be a little bit more budget conscious with your brow products. Speaking of brow products, the ColourPop, what is this? Brow Boss Gel in the shade Clear. Now this does not come out of the tube clear. Let me see if I can show you. It's sort of this milky... I hate when the focus moves away from where I'm trying to get it to focus. Please focus. Whatever. I think you guys could probably have seen that. I'm sorry if it was a little out of focus. It's sort of this like milky, thicker textured gel, which for a girl with a lot of brow hairs, this is the perfect brow gel. Now, if you don't have a lot of brow hairs, you might be okay with something that's a little bit of a thinner consistency, but personally, like I said, I have a lot of brow hairs that I need to like stick in place, so this product works amazingly for me. I know a lot of people complain about the leave behind of the sort of white gel, if you will. I always take my spoolie on whatever brow pencil I'm using at the moment. I give this about like 10 seconds to dry, and then I run back through my brows with the spoolie, and that takes care of that. The other thing I like to do is I like to press down. I will literally like go in. Sorry, I don't know why I'm talking with my hand in front of my mouth like that gives clear and good audio, but I will literally go in with my finger or multiple fingers and press onto my brow and sort of like, again, really stick it in place. Because if I'm taking the time to do a nice structured brow, I don't want it to move anywhere. I want it to stay in place all day. Also, because I'm talking with my hands a lot, you probably already have seen the next item that I'm going to show, which is the ColourPop No Filter Concealer. And this is the shade, I don't know if it has a name, but this is the white concealer. And I don't necessarily consider this to be a concealer in my collection right now, meaning that once I run out of my Tarte Shape Tape, I'm not going to use this. This was not purchased with the intention to use it as an under eye or face concealer. This is more so if I want to do anything cut crease, if I want to really put a nice white base down on my lid, or if my current concealer is too dark, I sometimes will add a couple little dots of the white there to help brighten that area up. The reason I'm showing this is because I have used various colors of the No Filter Concealer in the past. I just don't have them in my collection currently, but now that this product is available at Ulta, I will be repurchasing it once I finish up my Tarte Shape Tape. It's just, again, for the price point, I feel like it can't be beat. It's nice, it's buildable, it's good enough coverage. Like, I don't struggle with crazy dark under eyes. I definitely have some darkness, but I try to take care of that mostly with skincare as opposed to covering it up. So like I said, it has okay coverage, and I think you can even build it up a little bit without it getting too cakey. Personally, I always blend out my concealer with a beauty sponge. I use the Real Techniques beauty sponge, and I feel like that helps sort of prevent me from getting too full coverage under the eye, or it helps kind of like take away if I've gone in a little heavy and like put too much product down there. It's just a nice like balancing tool where I feel like sometimes a brush just will leave all of the excess product there instead of help kind of pick it up and take it away. I don't know why I started telling you about my concealer routine, but I do, I do highly, highly recommend the No Filter Concealer. Okay, I realize I've been playing with my hair a lot, so please just ignore my swatches. I chose to do ABH at the beginning of this video, knowing that I needed to swatch products on my hand instead of, you know, waiting until the end, but what can you do? I'm hoping this is a pretty kind of quick video. I do talk a little bit more in depth about some of the products, but for the most part, I just wanted to keep it quick and fun, give you guys a little bit of insights about the brands that I'm loving and the products that are really doing it for me currently. Let me know if you like any of these brands, dislike any of these brands. What are some of your favorite products? And if you have any current favorites right now, because I love talking about products, even though maybe we can't buy things right now, we can still, you know, enjoy talking about makeup without feeling the sadness or the temptation for not being able to buy things. So, all of that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you're interested in more beauty related and no-buy content from me. And until next time, I will see you later.